Hello, this is Justin with JAC TechKnowledge-y. And in this video here, I want to share with you how we can create our own live Debian bootable USB device. And we're going to go ahead and start by opening up the browser here. I'm going to use Firefox. You're more than welcome to use any browser of your choice. And if you'd like to leave comments about if you like or dislike Firefox, hey, that's okay with me too. But in the search bar here, we're going to go ahead and type in Debian, hit enter. From here, we're going to select this option for Debian.org. And right here, we have the community, followed by the operating system. Now, I will say about a year or so ago, trying to locate their downloads was almost a nightmare. So definitely want to give a shout out to the Debian community. Awesome job on putting this on the home page. Now, to access the live environments, we need to select Other Downloads here. And right here on the right-hand side, we see try Debian Live before installing. So you can try Debian by booting a live system from a CD, DVD, or USB key, which gives us a chance to trial things out before we commit. But keep in mind, this is available only for 64-bit systems, as stated here. Just below, we can see Live GNOME, Live XFCE, Live KDE, and other live ISOs. So I'm going to select that here. And that's because we'll get an extended view on all options, such as Debian GNOME, KDE, Cinnamon, LXDE, LXQT, Mate, and XFCE. So you are more than welcome to select any one of these options here and still follow along with what we're doing. So I'm going to select GNOME. And we can see here, Debian Live 13.4, AMD 64, GNOME, ISO. Perfect. And let's go ahead and move down. So memory usage, let's just run through this quickly. As it states, live images tend to be a little bit more resource hungry. And with that being said, the minimum recommended RAM for using a desktop environment on a live image is 2 gigabytes. However, if we're going to use GNOME or KDE, we're going to need 4 gigabytes. And although it doesn't state it here, we're also going to need a required 10 gigabytes of disk storage space. However, recommended at least 20 to 30 gigabytes, and that is because if we want to continue with updates and continued support. And last but not least, the CPU requirement is 1 gigahertz single core CPU. However, again, recommended is going to be 2 core or multi-core CPUs. All right, now that we have our ISO file downloading and we've ran through some of these system requirements, let's open up a new tab here. And we need to locate the Rufus Media Creation tool. I'm sure you could just type in Rufus and it would still locate it. And here we are, rufus.ie. So we can select Rufus, create bootable USB drives. This is the home page here. And we can see a snapshot or image overview of the tool we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and scroll down. We have the download section followed by latest releases. And we'll just run through this quickly. So for the standard setup on a desktop, we have Windows 64-bit architecture here, which is this option. We have a portable setup for Windows 64-bit as well, this option here. Another standard setup for the Windows 32-bit system right here. And last but not least, the standard setup for Windows ARM architecture, which is located here. Or of course, if we'd like to trial the beta option for Windows 64-bit, we're welcome to do so. Now for me, I'm going to stick with the stable latest release of Rufus 4.13. We're going to select that. And now we have our Rufus executable followed by our Debian ISO file. And let's just go ahead and minimize this. Let's open up our File Explorer. Go to Downloads. And this Rufus tool right here, I'm just going to drag and drop right onto the desktop here. We can minimize our File Explorer, that's fine. And last thing we're going to need, probably the most important part, is going to be our USB drive. However, one thing I'd like to note, make certain that you are using a blank USB device or at least a USB device that you no longer care what is on it, which means no pertinent or important data. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and connect our blank USB device to our system here. And there we go. We have new volume, drive E. And as we can see, I have no files in that drive. I'm going to close here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and double click the Rufus tool. And do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? We're going to select yes. Now from here, we can start filling out our fields. So for the device field, make certain you have your correct USB device selected. So in my case, I only have one connected to my device. Therefore, I know this is the correct USB device, new volume E. So if you have multiple, just make certain you have the correct one. I just want to emphasize that. Now boot selection, we're going to leave disk or ISO image, hit select. This should auto drop into the downloads folder. If it doesn't, just select downloads, grab that ISO, hit open. Now for partition scheme, we can do this one of two ways. If you're setting up on a legacy device, or at least a device that you're unsure if it's legacy or modern, leave your partition scheme as MBR, which leaves the target system as BIOS or UEFI. However, if you're working on a modern system, which I know for certain I am, I'm going to flip this to GPT, which changes the target system to UEFI, non-CSM. Volume label, I typically leave default for the naming convention that it provides. File system is FAT32. Cluster size is 16 kilobytes, and that's going to be the same for either a GPT or MBR. So again, if you're not certain, just go with MBR. If you are for certain on which one, you can make your own selection here. Then we're going to go ahead and hit start. From here, it's just letting us know that we can create an ISO image or a disk image, obviously recommended ISO image. So we're going to hit OK. Last warning here, just make certain that you are using a blank USB device, or at least a device that has no pertinent data, because everything on that device is going to be deleted to create this bootable media USB. We're going to hit OK. And we can see now, give it one moment here. And we can see now that is running in the background, so it is starting to create our drive for us. And what I'll do is I'll just pause here through the power of editing. I'll skip towards the end, about 97, 98%, and I'll show the remainder of this process. Okay, wow, the end of that actually jumped really quickly. So I will say, I tried to catch that at 97, 98%, but it went from 95% to completed. We can see our full runtime right here, 6 minutes, 45 seconds, which, hey, that was actually fairly quick. And we're gonna go ahead and select close from here. Then we can go back into our File Explorer. Let's go to our drive. We'll go full screen here. Right click on this, hit eject. And now we can safely remove our new Debian USB bootable drive. And that's it. Now we have a drive to start creating our Debian system.